everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Full Sem podcast. This is actually our very first live episode we've ever done. It's an interesting one for our first live, but
You're
I want
making history.
We're making history. We have Steiny here, and I want to welcome Bassem Yusuf to the
Hi.
Full Sem podcast. Thank you for being with us. How you doing?
Thank you for having me, guys.
Of course. Obviously, last week was controversial for us, to say the least. We had someone on the podcast, very controversial, as I said, to say it in the least form. What was your reaction when you saw that we had Benjamin Netanyahu on the Full Sem
Well,
podcast?
I didn't know about what's. I am sorry to say, like because I'm not your demographic, so I didn't know who the Nelk Boys is. But like, I found my DMs exploding. It's like, did you see what the Nelk Boys did? It's like, who the fuck are the Nelk Boys? And then I didn't know that you're that big. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not your targeted demography, so I apologize for my ignorance. So and then I started following what's going on and the aftermath. And being in the public eye for 15 years, I understand what does it mean to be in a very tough situation, and now having to trying to crawl out of that situation. It's difficult, especially with the backlash, because the bigger you are, the bigger the backlash. And well, I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of people when they knew that I'm on the podcast, like, yeah, go there, do them, have them. And I said, like, there's nothing to gain from just canceling people without knowing what went wrong, because I think it is better to actually to learn from what's happening and look at the bigger picture instead of just like destroying two young people like you, because that doesn't serve anybody, right? It makes people happy that you guys are falling, but the bigger picture is, why did this happen, and why was this were you used? A part of you is your responsibility, and part of you not knowing. So I heard many of the justification that happened, saying that well, it was a great opportunity, and I'm like, wouldn't you like get him on the podcast? I said, yes. If somebody told me, would you interview Netanyahu? It's like, hell yeah, but I'll be prepared. And I think the biggest part of you, that you were not prepared. 2 years under like the biggest genocide in our history, you guys had no idea what's going on. If somebody told me, hey, you're gonna be tomorrow on the starting five of the Lakers in the NBA, it's like, that's a great opportunity, but I'm not prepared. I'm not going to make a fool out of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about you platforming someone or someone giving a chance for like free speech. You were used, right? And it didn't start with the podcast. It started 2 years ago in March 2023 when you went to Israel, because I know, like I told you, that the Israel has increased their Hasbara budget, which is their propaganda machine, with $150 million, and part of that money goes to influence people in college campuses, hire influencers like you, getting them into fancy trips to Israel, giving them this filtered, layered picture that is made up, that is fake. I mean, I watched it yesterday, and I was cringing, because not because like you're showing how cool Israel is, or they have nightclubs.
You're saying our Nelk video in
Yeah,
Israel?
yeah. So, because when the part when you mentioned Palestine, do you remember? We're going to a place that is so dangerous now. Palestine. And then you are in a bus, and then like special forces come in and kidnap you, and this kind of like IDF simulation, counterterrorism, and then they're telling you, we have a dog that only breeded in Israel. It can kill a man. And you understand that like the kind of psychopathic behavior of a country that like tells you, like, part of its like tourist attraction, that we're killing terrorists and we're breeding dogs to kill human beings. And by the way, I don't know, part of the anger is like, just last year there was like a kid with autism and Down syndrome that was killed by one of these dogs. And then the next scene is, let's go and see Palestinian family, and the only Palestinian family in this video are just like a bunch of Bedouins in a tent, a guy who's married 2 wives, and he tells you, my whole life is about camels and goats and chicken. And then you find like a 60 years old one, I just live on pita bread and milk. So even if October 7th didn't happen, you were used in a propaganda machine to tell people, this is what you need to know about Palestinians. They're just like a bunch of people with cows and goats, marrying two people, living in a tent, happy with the pita bread and milk. So you were recruited in March 2023, and you were activated in July 2025, right? So, and I'm saying this because I'm saying this out there for all of the influencers around there, because there's a lot of people got backlash. There's influencers went there like wearing IDF. It's like we didn't know what we're going on. Like he was like, I didn't know I'm kissing a Jewish wall.
I mean, yeah, I can definitely admit that. I mean, I think we were both just ignorant to what was going on over there. And obviously, you know, I knew he was, I'll be honest, I thought he was controversial, but I was definitely ignorant to what was going on in that area. And I can
Yes.
admit that. And it was definitely, I wish we could have gone back and,
Yeah.
you know, had 2 weeks to sit down with someone like yourself and just, we should have grilled him 50,000, 100,000 times harder, but
Yeah.
something we can't get back. And we'll probably always regret
Of
that,
course, but I know you can't get back this like trip in Israel, but I'm just telling you, this was like part of a much bigger propaganda effort, right? And a country that spends $150 million on its image, they are covering something. They when they spread all of these propaganda, it's like we're not starving people in Gaza. You understand that this conversation has been happening for 2 years. First of all, I'm not absolving you from your trip. You guys are not little kids. You are fucking 30 years old, right? People in your age have families and they have a career, and you need to stop. I'm just saying this because you're my little brothers, but you're not little,
No.
right? You need to stop infantilizing yourself. It's like we're just stupid people doing stupid stuff. You're 30 years old and you need to be aware of what's happening in the world, and that your reach and your platforms mean something and it affects people. And I think the biggest reason why people were so upset for you, not because you brought someone and you didn't contest him, that it is the talking point that he used is the same talking points that have been used for 2 years to kill thousands of people, right? So, but I mean, and part of the people, part of the reason why people were so angry is that, forget even if you don't know anything about the conflict, there was like a total lack of critical thinking. I mean, you guys asked him the one good question when you told him in October 7th, how could this be allowed to happen? Everybody knowing that Mossad is like a crazy intelligent thing that infiltrates people and put bombs in pages. How did you not see that coming? But also, a critical thinking is, how come an attack was allowed for 6 hours in the most heavily surveilled part in the world? You understand, like in 2019, they killed like hundreds of people just because they approached the wall between Gaza and Israel. You understand? They killed. You have like copters, like drones. You have snipers. Suddenly, for 6 hours, you remember what Netanyahu told me? How big is Israel? You told me it's like as big as Rhode Island.
As Jersey, right?
Yeah, like it. You understand the distance between Gaza and Tel Aviv is 44 miles. You understand that like he was just bragging to you that like, hey, we went across 3 countries to bomb Iran, but you can't have a single helicopter coming out to defend your people. Like the October 7th was used in order to tell people, look to the Jewish people that were killed. But you don't understand that you pay $1 million as Americans, as Canadians, to protect those Jewish people. So it's not just like an intelligence failure. It was a deliberate way to let people get slaughtered. And what did he tell you when you asked him what happens? Like, we're still investigating it. Really investigating it for 2 years? You don't know how people for 6 hours continued to kill people? That's why when we went on other people podcasts and they told you, guys, they used the Hannibal Directive. They killed their own people. And I sent you all of the stuff. What was your reaction? Dude, that's conspiracy. Again, people were angry because you didn't read what's going on there, right? Israel uses something called blitzkrieg. You know what's blitzkrieg? It means flash attack. This is what the Nazi did. They do like a very coordinated attack very quickly, very fast. It's like very simple messaging. Decapitated babies, mass rape, right? So there's an emotional response. People get so angry, and then after a couple of days, everybody goes back to their Netflix, to their UFC fight, to the NBA, and the people who stay, it's like, wait a minute, that is fucked up. That didn't happen. There's so many plot holes already. Most of the people has already went back to their lives. So the people who stay and hold them accountable will be called fringe, obsessed, anti-Semitic, conspiracy theory. Like you said, oh, dude, this is conspiracy theory. It's not. And this is why I have like sent you all of the videos so you can be educated. When you were on a podcast and they were telling you, dude, they spit on Christians in Israel. It's like, I was in Israel, nobody spit on me. Yes, of course, because you were in a curated propaganda machine that showed you one thing about Israel. Do you remember when you were like in that bus and there was a guy with a scarf? It's like, oh, that guy with a scarf, like that. I don't know if you or someone of your friends said, he looks suspicious. It's not that cold. So the only representation of Palestinian are either people staying in a tent or a suspicious guy with a scarf. And I don't know who edited that. If it seemed like Mossad edited it, but and if you guys have edited that is fucked up because it just like it solidifies the same racist tropes about a group of people that being slaughtered and starved to death right now, and then they distract you with questions like it is Hamas, it's the people, they're not allowing aid in, and you understand that this is the same exact conversation that's been happening for 2 years. They bomb hospitals, it's not us, it's Hamas. Oh, it's us, but there were Hamas underneath it. It's maybe a mistake. Then after bombing hospital, they bomb schools, and then they bomb entire residential areas. Then they kill women and children. And now, 2 years later, we're discussing the same question, but like, are we starving them or is it Hamas starving them? You see the cycle of deceit, the cycle of lies, the cycle of propaganda. So that's why I'm not coming here to say like, oh, they are starving, because I'm not gonna go after each and every single lie that he said because it's exhausting, and they have been doing that for 2 years. So I'm here to show you the patterns and the bigger picture to understand that you are sitting with a narcissistic, psychopathic liar that's used to gaslighting people and lie them to them in their faces.
Yeah, I want to say too. Yeah, we obviously, one thing that hurt me the most when we had him on was just, I have a lot of personal, friendships and stuff from people of all religions, and a lot of people were obviously just upset, and they were messaging me personally, like friends, and saying, "Why did you have him on?" and stuff. So when I told them that we were having you on to explain us the bigger picture, they were all very excited. So honestly, we just want to learn about this, and we obviously just want to use our platform to educate people.
What do you want to learn about?
I mean, I think it would just be good for you to talk about what Netanyahu said and explain us.
Well, one thing I said about the October 7th, like, he, and I like not just October 7th, is the way that he dehumanized the whole population. Remember when he told me, how can young people march in the streets with people who kill gays? And then he used this like overplayed, lame jokes, like gays for Gaza is like chicken for KFC. And it's just like, he keeps saying it in everywhere, and it sounds stupid. And they tell me they would kill women if they're not in hijab. So this guy who pretends that he cares about gays and women, and I send you the articles, like how they have actually used revenge porn in order to recruit gay people. They go into Grindr and Facebook and Instagram. Like I think you have the headlines.
The IDF goes on Grindr.
Yeah. They actually pick those gay people, and then they use revenge porn in order to hire them as informants. You have that?
Whoa.
Yes. So over the past several months, I spoke to there's a lot of queer Palestinians that actually been used by the IDF in order to actually hire them as informants. And then the same guy who cares about women and children, he already killed more than 28,000 women and children in the less than a year and a half. And again, they use revenge porn. There's even a movie about it made by like an Oscar-nominated director. He's a Palestinian, and it's called Hoda Salon. And they talk about like how for very many years they have spiked women's drinks in beauty salons in order to shoot them and film them in compromised position, and then use them or use their husbands as informants. So you understand the level of pathology and the level of narcissistic behavior, the level of evil these people are doing. And then they have the audacity to come and talk about gay people and talk about women. This is crazy, man. You understand? And when I went and I sent you that stuff in order to you to look and verify. And this is why the reason we're doing this in live, because I invite anybody to fact check everything that I say as we go on.
So you're saying Israel they're recruiting gay people from Palestine and using them as informants and
That's happening a lot
blackmailing
in
them?
the West Bank. Yes.
Well, so what about some of the stuff Netanyahu said? I know this is for you is probably basic, but what he said, we asked him if he was purposely starving people in Gaza, and he
Yeah.
said Hamas is stealing the food.
It's interesting that we would actually take the war of an indicted war criminal and a guy who's been caught lying many times. Like, for example, when he say Iran is days away from creating a nuclear bomb, and there's videos of the internet of him saying many times, "Oh, Iran is like 5 months away, 3 months away," and you understand. When you asked him about like Iraq, oh, he said, "Oh, that's unfortunate," and yet he has a video saying Iraq is month away of creating weapons of mass destruction.
I've
And you
seen
remember,
that video. I've seen the video of him talking about Iran.
yeah. So you
since the
see, you
90s.
see a guy that like, if you have a friend, Steiny, and if you have a friend that consistently lies to you and you caught up lying, when would it be enough to say, okay, that guy, I'm not going to take anything he says? Now, the thing about like him saying we're not starving, it's Hamas. There's also some of the articles that I send you. There is like multiple articles of Israel killing aid workers, UN workers, saying that they are Hamas. You know, they have killed over like, I don't know the number, 100, 200 people of aid workers. They are like lining people in aid lines and then they are killing them. When they tell you,
So people that are not even involved in the conflict, they're aid
yes,
workers.
I think the number is like they killed over 180 doctors or it's just it's the numbers is like so big now you can't even like catch up with the numbers. And I was in London. They were playing the world premiere of a documentary called Doctors Under Attack, and it shows you. It's a documentary done by the BBC, by the way. It shows you how. It's good there. Yeah.
Says over 400
So yeah.
Palestinians.
So
killed
and of
around
course it's
5
very
days ago.
easy to say, oh, the United Nations is anti-Semitic. Everybody is anti-Semitic. Everybody is lying, and the only one who's not lying is Netanyahu, right? So those people that
So like this one, for example, is this like a bombing or is this just like they're coming and like gunning them down?
they're gunning them down. They're using drones and killing them. There's even like a whistleblower that came a couple of days ago, who was working with the aid groups, and he said like, there's like a little kid who came and kissed our hands because we gave him food, and as he was walking away, the IDF shot him in the head. It's crazy, man.
And this
Right.
was like almost a month ago, not only.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
And 400 people, those are civilians.
yeah, but that's that number gets updated by the minute right now, and it's you can just like you can go through the headlines if you want, but the reason I'm like showing you this is that Israel is the only one who has the absolute control of getting aid in and out. And I know that you've seen on the internet they're showing their soldiers. Here's the aid sitting here. The UN is not taking them. Dude, they are killing UN workers and calling them Hamas. If you start calling everybody Hamas, the doctors are Hamas, the kids are Hamas, the UN order Hamas, there is no way for people to go in and do anything. You see, you know how desperate people are? People are riding on boats and trying to get aid in these flotillas. And one of them is like a comedian that you worked with. His name is Jacob Berger. He's Jewish, by the way, from New York. And he was arrested by the IDF. And one of them, he's the
I
only.
saw that.
Yeah, and the only black dude on that flotilla, he was beaten and tortured, and he's American, right? So you understand the level of psychopathy that you're dealing with. It's not about like our word against their word anymore, because they have all of these people activated like you. They try to recruit you, whether influencers or people in the media, telling it's look, it's not starving, it's not happy, it's not our fault. You remember I told you before, it's the same argument they used before. They bombed every single hospital in Gaza. It's not us, it's Hamas. They bombed every single school in Gaza. It's not us, in Hamas. They killed 60,000 people. It's Hamas' fault. You see the pattern? You see the pattern?
Mm-hmm.
You know the most viral video I did with Piers Morgan is when I said like Israel is a narcissistic psychopath, like a boyfriend who fucks you over and makes you think their fault. You know why this like resonated with so many people? It's just because people know this is the narcissistic psychopathic behavior, right? So they are like a bunch of liars, a bunch of killers, a bunch of murderers, and it is, and then it's easy for them to just like get out of it and say like it is fucking Hamas.
So what is like the ideal situation in that area?
The ideal situation that Israel should not be coming in and occupying a country that's not theirs. And I know that you went there and you were raised all your life saying that this is our country, our place. You understand that Israel started by refugees from Europe, people who escaped the Nazis. This was a European problem. Most of those people were in Ukraine and Russia and Poland and Germany. And then they went through incredible hardship. Why would they come to the Middle East and take a land that belonged to other people? That is the core of the problem. The core of the problem is not just starvation or the daily killing. It is people coming in and trying to take a land from other people. And of course, you grew up as a Jewish person telling you this was an empty land and we just came in. There was no one there. There were already 2 million Arabs living there before Israel have even been conceived. And in one night, 700,000 people were displaced overnight on 15th of May 1948 when they declared the state of Israel. You understand the amount like your grandparents are like Holocaust survivors. They wouldn't like another Holocaust to be happening in their name, and they wouldn't. If you have a problem with Germany, go fucking take a piece of land from Germany, man. You understand like where my people are coming from? Like we were just sitting here and you have like a problem in Europe and then you were pushed on us and say like, this is our land now, get the fuck out. You understand how sick this is? You know how unfair this is? You understand? So we can discuss about like what is happening now, the situation. You need to go again, the bigger picture and understand why this happened, right? Those people who are Netanyahu sat in front of you and saying like, Hamas is terrorist. They are the one who actually started terrorism in the Middle East. They're one who started bombing hotels, bombing people. The amount, like if you just like go in and write the terror, and I invite the internet to actually fact check this, the terrorism of the Zionist militias in Palestine, right? The dozens of people that they have been killing. You know, all of the stuff that they have like, you know, killing pregnant women, decapitated people. This is the exact same thing that they did in massacres like Deir Yassin, there in Sabra and Shatila. They have been, you know, there's a very famous line saying like, every accusation is a confession. Every time they blame Hamas for using human shield, they are the one who's being using human shield, right? They're actually in 2005, the Israeli Supreme Court made a verdict saying you need to stop using human shield because they were using it so much. There's like a recorded 1,200 incidences of them using human shield between 2001 and 2005. That is crazy, man. Right? So every time you see them accusing Palestinians of doing it, they have done it many times before, even more brutal.
Yeah, one thing I see on the internet now too is a lot of Americans are questioning like, is Israel our closest ally? Why are they our closest ally? Why are we sending so much money to Israel? I see it. I mean, even Trump now recently, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, it seems like he's not even agreeing with Netanyahu now. I saw Canada just recognize Palestine as a state.
Yeah, so, but at the same time, Trump said like, well, I think like Canada couldn't be our partner anymore, which is crazy. You are basically sacrificing Canada, which is actually your closest ally, because of Israel.
Well, what I was going to ask is why does America consider Israel its closest ally?
No, America doesn't consider Israel the closest ally.
Why,
it's the American politicians.
Right. So why are the American politicians so loyal to Israel?
Well, follow the money, right? 80% of Congress are openly financed by AIPAC, which is the Israeli lobby. So when you finance 80% of your Congress, your representative, suddenly a foreign country is more important than your own country, right? I think you were asked many times, Tiny, are you American first or are you Israel first? And you said, no, I'm American first. You wouldn't like to have your tax money going to a country being and using that to kill children while your fellow Americans in places like Texas and North Carolina suffering from floods and not getting the aid they get. I think there is the graph with the $17 billion. Only, by the way, so far since the beginning of the conflict, not the conflict, the slaughter, since October 2023, America sent Israel more than $30 billion, $17.9 billion in 2024 alone. $17 billion. That's crazy. You know how many schools that you can build with that? You know how many teachers that you can pay? You know how many houses that you can give for the homeless? Why is your money going to a foreign country and using this to inflict the most evil genocide on innocent people? Right?
Right. So why do you think that American politicians are?
No, I'm just told you because of the money. Like the APAC.
Oh, because they're being paid to do so.
APAC is openly bragging about financing 80% of Congress with $100 million for
Do
each
they
cycle.
openly brag about that?
Oh yeah. I invite everybody to go into the APAC Twitter and see them bragging about it. It's like 98% of the people that we promote, they win their elections. And this is the graph that I was telling you about. The U.S. sent $17.9 billion in only 2024. This is how much you can do with that amount of money. And instead, it is going to buy weapons. It's going to settlers in the West Bank, American Jews, maybe Jews from other places who live there with like very low rent housing. They have better education, better health care than any American here, which is crazy. Why is my money going there? I know, Steiny, I saw you on many of the podcasts saying, like, it is very difficult for me as a Jewish American living there, and I understand it's difficult, but it was misunderstood because people said, this is so tone deaf, this is so self-centered, it's not about you guys. But I kind of understood it I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt that maybe it is difficult because there's a whole genocidal state right now using your identity and using your religion in order to commit unspeakable crimes, right? But also, you need to understand, what does it mean to be a Palestinian American right now? You understand how difficult it is to a Palestinian American sitting here, seeing his family slaughtered and starved, and that is being done by their own tax money. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, like, you sending money to your family to, for example, build a bakery, and then you see that bakery destroyed on phone, and then TurboTax takes your money and finance the bomb that fucking bombed that bakery? You understand the kind of mind fuck that those people are living in? Like, yes, anti-Semitism is a real thing, but you understand that you haven't seen 3 Jewish people being shot because they spoke Hebrew, right? I have 3 Palestinian friends. They were in Brown University. They were speaking Arabic, and they were shot, and one of them cannot walk for the rest of his life, right? There was like a Palestinian kid, 6 years old, who was stabbed 26 times right after October 7th because of the kind of fear that was launched against Muslim Americans, right? There was like an Indian Muslim kid that was almost drowned in Texas by a Jewish woman. Her name is Elizabeth Wolf, as a hate crime. If the roles were reversed, if those kids were Jewish, you wouldn't hear the end of it. But I'm telling you this, and I can see in your eyes, it's the first time you ever heard about this. This is crazy. This is manufactured. So part of me is angry at you guys for not knowing, but part of me, I have empathy for you, because this is the kind of a bubble that was created intentionally by the media to tell you that all the perpetrators, the people on the other side, are the terrorists, they are the evil people, and Israel is our greatest ally. This is prime brainwashing. So you understand what I mean? So when you say, like, it's difficult to be Jewish, yes, I understand, but it is kind of like you are.
I think I can't speak for Stein.